This is going to be for Project 4 for Phase 4. And this one, we're going to have two M2 stack core 2s. And then what they're going to do is they're going to both be having VNCL 40 sensors and SHT ones. And those will be able to talk to each other and then have the cloud manage that. So first, we're going to have two cloud functions, which we talked in the before with Lab 3. A lot of this is Lab 3 code, just changed a little bit. And that's going to be, again, a serverless function. So let's get into it with the index.js. So again, we import our functions, and all we're doing is Firestore, since we're not doing any buckets in this one. And then again, you allow the user IDs, which again is going to be my name and then your name. That's the one I chose. And then through that, again, we're going to have our entry point, which is right here. And then we would verify that Firestore environment, that those variables exist. And then after that, you would want to get those M5 details as a string, but again, originally as a JSON. Again, a lot of this is your code, so I just kind of changed a little bit of it. And then again, you stop immediately if the custom header was not received. And then you can attempt to convert the string to a JSON object. And just again to do for, which we talked about, and then make this request come from one of the two users, not one anymore, which is really important. And then you want the sensor fields and numbers. Again, the same code as Lab 3. And then you can convert the time, which you didn't want UTC time here. And then you want to capture that time in Firestore. And then you want to add the cloud upload time. And after that, really just return the useful upload information to the M5, just like Lab 3. And then catch any errors that happen there. And then here's the JSON model like you've done before. I did look up kind of what's the right format. Again, it looks really nice, I guess, if you do name and then put your name of your project and then the version and then the dependencies. So I'm going to start doing that as it looks better for the format-wise. Let's go to Cloud Run. And let's go to 4-2. And this is the second one. The second one's more of the same, basically. Again, Firestore, the user IDs, pretty much similar. If you want, you can view this. Again, a new JSON is created when actually getting the data collection in the end. And again, this is for the cloud upload. So again, you want to find the units, what's detected with the center, and then you count how many data points were found. And after that you find the earliest timestamp, and then you can get those averages of the sensors, and then put all that data that you've gathered, and then you can grab at least one data in that range by just doing an if statement, passing through a parameter, and then letting that happen. So pretty simple here. This just again lets us do a cloud upload, which again, documents are also ordered from newest. Again, this is also with the timestamp because again you wanted UTC time. And then we also call our Firestore and call those sensors that are being distinguished. So pretty simple, not too bad. Changed a little more, but this is a little more complex because it's actually uploading to the cloud both of those times as the other one's data processing. All right, let's get into the code. First, I have my device. Again, have our libraries. We've used this in Lab 3, so that's fine. And then after that, this is going to be the first M2 function, and then the second, which I just showed, the first two. And then the variables, which again, Wi-Fi, you've seen this. And then the user ID. The user ID is going to be different on the second device because that's going to be Dr. Dangrism. And then this is going to be the library objects, which again is the same as Lab 3. Then you actually want to offset 0 because again, the project wants UTC, which again is more work. Again, I added a new here because that was new to me. And so I usually put new to make it so when I distinguish my projects, I can see what I've learned differently there. And then through this is the screen time and upload time. And then we have our device detail structures, which is again the same as Lab 3 as we were to this. And now with our enums, we just added another screen, which we're dealing with 3 screens this time. And then we do values, and then this will be sent to the second M core 2, which is the Dr. Dan Grissom one. And then these variables exist to hold the response for that second M2 core. This gets the newest sensors for the first screen, which again uses a Boolean, which again will return false because the other one will return true, which is always. And then you will do the useful. This is only useful again for looking at tapping the touch screen once, and then looking at the QL to make the M2 core look nicer. So again, it's just a quality of life change. And then we have our method header declarations, which is very important, so we can call those. And then all the new functions that happen, which we just draw all these screens that are currently going on. And then we can initialize the device, get it ready, and then start initializing those sensors. So the ambient sensor, again, we've done this, so I just took that code. Same with the SHT, the humidity and temperature sensor, we've done that, so I took that. And then you connect to the Wi-Fi, we've shown that in the Bluetooth. And then now you do this with the UTC time. We have to wait again until it's available. So once it does, it grabs that, uploads the first sample it gets right here. And then again, after that, you go through the touchscreen, which is navigation, always important, just like Flutter. And then this screen keeps reading and uploads it every 5 seconds. After that, this reads the VCNL 4040 and SH40, and there's an accelerometer, which again is Lab 3 just added a little bit more, but the accelerometer can't be added when you have already 2 sensors. So once you read those sensors, you upload those every 5 seconds, but it can read accelerometer if you plug it in. Then this displays and uploads that to screen 1, which is pretty simple. And then now you draw the new buttons for screen 2, which again we've already talked when we drew the snowman and that all the way from the beginning. And then we implement that data fetch button where you can fetch that data from each other's system. And then after that, which is new, is this third screen, which again will just be the result screens after the fetch happens, which is just, again, having it print the data points it is gathering through the parameters. And then through that, there's a touchscreen coordinate inside a button, and if this happens, it will be a true Boolean. And this handles all the screen navigation for screen 2, which is pretty simple. I mean, it's just a giant if-else statement. And then for the second device, again, it wants to make the HTTP request to gather that information, which again we've talked over, and it grabs that code, then it prints it, and then we parse that JSON data, and we want to return it. And again, if it does, we want it to say failed, so we know if something bad's happening. Then we pull those fields for the function 2, and that function 2, and it returns that. And then convert the epoch seconds to UTC date/time, which is very important because that was a mandatory requirement. So again, we've already done that before, so I just took that code. And then we can do the internal names, turn to clean, and then make those labels easily to read, which is another just quality of life that I looked up through Stack Overflow, and AI even gave me suggestions on how to make this a little neater. And then this is the same as Lab 3, where you just upload the JSON data. And then this is also the same as Lab 3, which how you do the JSON data structures, which I did in Lab 3. And then also the HTTP helper, which we've already talked about. So it gathers, and then the temperature math for the convert from the Fahrenheit and Celsius. Other than that, I've already recorded a video for the actual 2 devices working and the fetch. And then if we can just want to see here, we can go to Firestore, and here we go. Here's proves that it works. You see the humidity, the time captured, and the VCNL, and that's it. And then again, if you do the accelerometer, you can put that in, and then here's the 2 devices, and then you can just fetch that, and it will store it in Firebase. Sorry, not Firebase, Firestore. But other than that, that will be the data results, and that will be the end for Project 4, Phase 4. Through this, I learned that basically I can use Google Cloud as a hub while sending important device information through the sensors, and then you can just transfer that and store it all in Google Cloud through Firestore. So that is very neat and also very helpful. Again, there will just be a video to demonstrate the devices working, just so it's not, I didn't just print a bunch of statements saying this. But other than that, that should be it. Thank you.